What's happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. Now you guys can probably already tell that it is going down. Just by that title alone, you guys are definitely gonna want to check this one out. As we got that Senator Chuck Schumer unable to contain his anger after Senate Democrats just went behind his back, betraying him to reopen our federal government. Guys, I'm excited to get into this one, so we're not straight into it. All I ask that you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Without further ado, let's hop straight into it, folks. Check this one out.
Looks like we're getting very close to the shutdown. We'll never agree to give any substantial money or any money to really prisoners, illegals that come into our country. And I think the Democrats understand that. And it looks like we're getting close to the shutdown ending. You'll know very soon. Thank you.
It looks like we could be nearing the end of this shutdown stalemate. We hope. The Senate voted 60-40 to pass the bill overnight, the first step in a series of procedural maneuvers. 8 Democrats joined Republicans to pass the GOP's revised spending package, including Senate Minority Whip Dick Durbin, Senators Tim Kaine, Catherine Cortez Masto, and Jackie Rosen, among others. Senator Rand Paul was the only GOP no vote. The package will fund the government through the end of January, but in a major blow to progressives, it does not include a deal on Obamacare subsidies. It merely guarantees a vote on the tax credits at a future date. Still, the Dems who did vote for the bill say they were able to extract enough concessions to get them to cross party lines, like reversing the firings of furloughed workers.
All right, folks, so it looks like we're finally seeing the first steps being taken in reopening our federal government, ending the Schumer shutdown, the longest shutdown in American history as we know it. And it doesn't look like the GOP gave in, didn't budge on any demands coming from Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffrey and those Democrats that wanted to fund $1.5 trillion to illegal immigrant health care. Just wasn't going to happen. We also had House Speaker Mike Johnson weighing in with a bit of a victory speech after the Dems finally caved.
Good morning, everybody. I'm very thankful to see you all this morning. I'm thankful to welcome you to what appears to be the beginning of the end of the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, as shameful as that is. I don't think it's coincidental, you know how I think, but it's after 40 days of wandering in the wilderness and making the American people suffer needlessly, some Senate Democrats finally have stepped forward to end the pain. It appears to us this morning that our long national nightmare is finally coming to an end, and we're grateful for that. At least some Democrats now finally appear ready to do what Republicans and President Trump and millions of hardworking American people have been asking them to do for weeks. But as we said from the beginning, the people's government cannot be held hostage to further anyone's political agenda. That was never right. And shutting down the government never produces anything. It never has, if you study history. And so here we are.
We just have to thank God this madness is finally coming to an end. And we see Speaker Johnson taking a bit of a victory lap with the GOP, while the Democratic leadership like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer continues to throw fits and double down on their stance to vote no to reopen our federal government.
We asked President Trump to step in and meet with us to deliver lower health care for Americans, and instead, Donald Trump has taken the American people hostage, from cutting off food aid to hungry families and vets and seniors and kids, to manufacturing flight cancellations, to cutting off home heating aid, while he builds a billion-dollar ballroom with gold-plated toilets. Therefore, I must vote no. This health care crisis is so severe, so urgent, so devastating for families back home that I cannot in good faith support this CR that fails to address the health care crisis.
And folks, please allow me to quickly clarify exactly what Chuck Schumer means by he's going to continue to vote no on passing this clean CR. He means that he's going to continue to vote no because his demands have yet to be answered. This guy hasn't had his pockets lined with taxpayer dollars yet, and we all know that's what this was all about at the end of the day. And he's not alone in feeling this way. We also have that other leader of the Dems, Hakeem Jeffries, coming out and vowing to keep this Schumer shutdown going until his demands are met.
The reality is, America is too expensive. And far too many people are struggling to live paycheck to paycheck. They can't thrive. They can barely survive. And that's why Democrats have been waging this fight. And we'll continue to wage this fight. We will sit down with any Republicans, anytime, any place, anywhere, in order to find a bipartisan path forward. But we're not down with their my way or the highway approach to governance. That's failed the American people.
Got a big news flash for Democratic leadership over there. Looks like your constituents have already went behind your back, agreeing and siding with the GOP to reopen our federal government. Your demands is sit down that you want to have. It's not going to happen. They keep trying to pose this whole claim for keeping our federal government hostage as American health care, and they want to make sure people have affordable health care within the United States of America. But it looks like we've got some other news coming. Reports from the Deputy Chief of Staff, White House Deputy Chief of Staff, reporting that Trump has been focused on healthcare all along, all this year, and it shows.
I think what's important is we should talk about the substance of what they are claiming this was all about, which is healthcare. The President Trump and the Republicans have been focused on health care all year, and I'd like to give you a few examples. Back when we passed our reconciliation bill, the House passed a program called the Cost Sharing Reduction Program, which would have lowered premiums across the board by over 10%. And the Senate Democrats used a procedural move to knock that out of the Senate version of the bill. So ultimately, it did not get passed because they got it knocked out. That's something we still want to achieve. President Trump, again, last week did another negotiation with drug companies under his most favored nation proposal to drastically lower the cost of prescription drugs.
So that right there is the real. President Trump's administration has had their attention directed towards lowering the cost and making healthcare more affordable for Americans since the beginning of his second term. But yet Democrats continue to make healthcare their claim to keeping our federal government held hostage. And speaking of realizing and finding the real, we got MSNBC legacy media outlets finally realizing exactly why the Democrats kept our federal government shut down for as long as they did.
It's strange, Dean, to go back to the original sort of part of this conversation of whether he is a good deal maker. I mean, in a way, it seems like the president is kind of getting what he wanted 40 days ago when all this started. He was out there saying that, oh, this is all about Democrats trying to give health care to illegal immigrants. He just said that to reporters moments ago, repeated that refrain that Democrats had actually very successfully pushed back against. Then there's all this energy. In the wake of the election on Tuesday, the president made remarks saying basically, wow, Republicans are being harmed by all of this, acknowledging that he was on his back foot. And now here he is winning again? How did he do it?
The Democrats, I don't understand how a Democratic senator goes, wow, we won really big. Let me cave now. I don't understand. That makes no sense to me.
Well, maybe to be, to Anthony's point, if they were cynical, like if we wanted just to hold this out until we get through the election, and then after the election, we got the wins.
I can definitely get used to this. We're clearly on the winning team. President Donald Trump keeps taking win after win after win. And the left-wing media outlets like MSDNC, they just can't take it. They're having full-blown meltdowns, panic attacks behind the great success that President Donald Trump's having. And it's not just left-wing media outlets. I mean, it's bad when even liberal influencers like Harris Sisson is throwing childlike fits behind President Donald Trump winning yet again on the federal government shutdown. Check this out.
Well, it looks like Democrats are caving to Donald Trump and the Republicans. We just learned that there's this deal to open the government back up to end the shutdown, and it just heavily favors Trump and gives Democrats nothing in return. The details of the bill are still coming out, but as of now, it's a short-term funding measure that would fund the government until the end of January. It would also reverse all of Donald Trump's federal layoffs. But here's the catch. There's no vote on extending the ACA subsidies for the Affordable Care Act to make healthcare affordable. Instead, the Republicans have promised to vote on the tax credits in December, like 40 days from now. And Democrats think that this is a good deal, a promise from Republicans to vote on healthcare. Why on earth would we trust their promise? Why on earth would we expect them to live up to this in exchange for our votes? Republicans have lied about healthcare for years, and now some Democrats expect them to be honest and vote in favor of extending the tax credits. Yeah, I don't think so. But apparently there are enough Democrats in favor of this bill that they're going to vote on it and reopen the government. And of course we want the government to reopen, but not at the expense of people's healthcare. I mean, this is insane.
Yeah, I just cannot contain my smile. It brings joy to my heart to see these liberal meltdowns as a result of President Donald Trump's great success he's been having over his second term in the White House. And on the flip side of things, we've got right-wing influencers coming out having a celebration, a party behind President Donald Trump's GOP winning once again.
Yo! The Democrats finally caved. Oh, they were acting big and bad, but they finally caved. And all of the liberal influencers are so mad. But I'm going to tell you why the Democrats caved. Because they were playing a game this whole entire time. They wanted the shutdown to happen right before the election. Because right after the election, right after the polls closed, then they said they were willing to come to the table and negotiate. It was a game. It was a game. And you know what? They wanted people to lose their SNAP benefits, their EBT food stamps. They wanted people to lose that so they can paint Trump as this evil man who starved millions of Americans. It was all a game. It was all a game. They were the ones who voted not to fund SNAP. They were the ones who voted not to put food on people's tables. They voted for that. But they knew that people would blame President Trump and the Republicans. It was a game. It was a freaking game. And so many people did not get paid for 40 days because they wanted to play a game. They wanted to play games with people's lives. But guess who got paid during the shutdown? Every single member in Congress got paid.
Victory, oh victory. That sweet, sweet feeling of another win. It just seems like ever since President Donald Trump got elected in for that second term, came down those golden escalators, it just seems like we cannot lose. We keep on winning. The left keeps on losing and making a fool out of themselves and their party as they know it. And I want to flip over from the celebration for just 1 second. I don't want to take anything away from it. I got to flip over, guys, just to show you exactly who's been holding our federal government hostage for a historic number of days. We got Democratic Senator here, Tim Kaine, admitting on camera that he doesn't even know why he was voting no and passing a clean CR, keeping our federal government shut down.
Do you wish that you would have started looking for this off-ramp sooner? You said that Republicans were never going to change in their position.
I didn't fully understand how dug in they were, again, because I was so focused on the Virginia elections. I wasn't in this discussion on the healthcare to see how dug in they were. But even as I was not part of these discussions, I was saying to Thune and others on the floor going back, listen, I need you, some of you heard me say this in the hall, I need a moratorium on mischief. Others are working on the healthcare thing, I trust them. Others are working on the approach thing, I trust them. I need a moratorium on mischief, because if we vote to open and then the immediate step next week is Donald Trump fires a lot more people, it's going to blow up trust to get the full year deal. And so I've been preaching this moratorium on mischief for a month, but I think partly why did they finally give me the moratorium on mischief on RIFs? They needed my vote, but they also saw the election on Tuesday.
And that right there is the reason why we're seeing such a large magnitude of response coming from the Democratic Party. Folks turn their backs, walking away from the party because they know that party has went to crap. It's not what they once knew it as. And we got Democratic senators with such incompetency that they're working with. I mean, this guy is supposed to be in leadership, but then claiming that he didn't understand the magnitude. He didn't understand the impact that this shutdown was having on folks. Give me a break. I just cannot support these folks. I don't know how anyone does. But guys, I want to end it here, leaving you off with some of that good energy flowing as we now have Senator Markwayne Mullin breaking it down exactly the next steps that need to be taken in order to reopen our federal government.
We're about ready to have our first vote to move to finally reopen the government. It's been ridiculous. The Democrats have been absolutely absurd. So let me give you the rundown on how this works. Right now, we got to have a motion to proceed. That means to get on the bill. Once we pass that, which we've already have 10 Democrats that have agreed to vote with us, so we had the votes. Once it's passed, technically it invokes 20 or 30 hours of debate. Now the Democrats can yield all that back if they want to. After that, we have another vote, and that's to amend the clean CR that the House sent over. Now, what that means is the House sent over a clean CR on all 12 appropriation bills. We have 3 appropriation bills that we're amending. So we have the LEDGE, we have MILCON, which is military, and AG. Now, AG is where the SNAP program is. So we're going to have to amend 3 of the 12 appropriation bills and then CR the rest of the 9 and then send that back to the House after we vote on it. But once we vote to amend it, it invokes another 30 hours of debate and before we can actually vote on the bill. So if the Democrats want to drag this out, they can drag it out for 60 hours. Now, it's ridiculous because the vote's already there, but there's some presidential hopefuls that want to, Democrat presidential hopefuls, that want to drag this out and like plant their flag and say, this is awful, we're not going to do this. Well, that means we won't be able to get to that vote until Wednesday. That means the House has to come back in and vote after we do, which would mean probably the government wouldn't reopen until Thursday. Now, if the Democrats want to yield back the time, we could get all 3 votes done tonight. The House could come back in, vote, and the government could be reopened back tomorrow night. So we'll see what they do. More than likely, they're going to try to continue to hold you guys as leverage points.
Yo, there we have it, guys. Oh my goodness, looks like we're finally seeing the beginning of the end of this Schumer sombrero shutdown, this crazy hostage situation that was taking place with our federal government. And I think the best part about all of this is that Trump's GOP did not give in, they did not back down, they held the line, not bend the knee to any of these egregious demands coming from these loonies on the left. I mean, they were looking for things like funding healthcare for illegals, folks that aren't even supposed to be in our country, shipping our tax dollars overseas for these international pet projects, all to make it back to the United States and these congressmen and women's pockets. It's not going to happen. I'm so glad that we've seen the outcome, the result that we did. This is exactly what I voted for. Guys, definitely hop in that comment section. I'm going to continue to follow this one all the way up until our federal government is reopened, but it looks like we finally took the win. We can celebrate and breathe a little bit now, because I feel like everyone was holding their breath, especially with Thanksgiving, the holiday season quickly approaching. We're wondering if folks are going to be able to keep or put food on the table for their families. It looks like the federal government will be open just in time, guys. Definitely hop in that comment section. Comments are open, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts, ideas on what's to come next. Also, make sure you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd enjoy more content like this, catch you guys on the next one.